Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another Counter-Strike video coming up. My name is Anders, and I am in Belgrade in a hotel room here for the Fissure tournament. But I thought I would still record a video and give you guys some of my thoughts on the change here, dropping Anubis and picking up Overpass instead as a map. Now, I think Overpass is a fantastic map, and I'm actually really happy about the change overall. But I'll try and see if I can explain why I think this is a really, really good thing for the game. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit of Overpass, assuming that some of you guys maybe aren't as familiar with it. Now, I think it's important that we stay open as a community to new people coming in and kind of joining, and don't just assume that everybody knows everything from the start. Some of us have been around for a really long time, but I think Counter-Strike should remain a really open space where we can just kind of invite new people in, and even if they haven't been here for forever, they should feel welcome. So a quick breakdown of the map is that it is this sort of, it's not really a double layered map the way that Nuke or Vertigo was, but it does have a really, really big verticality to it, meaning you have this upper A bomb site, which is also CT spawn, and you've got the B bomb site down below here, and it's connected with these hallways that sort of go in. There are a couple of different ways to get here. I'm not going to walk you through every single part of it, just to give you an overall structure. And then T spawn is pretty far away, like really far away, all the way over here. So that's the other thing about the map that obviously makes it stand out. It is really wide, and it's wide across two different axes. So it's a long range this way, but it's also really long in the sense that the B bomb site down here is really far away from what would be considered this long position, what we call A long, which is all the way over here where the CTs will hang out. So sort of going this diagonal lane across, you're really far away from some of the more extreme CT positions, which I think is interesting. Now, I'm going to try and explain why I think this map works better on a couple of different levels from Anubis. I've been a critic of Anubis for a while, and it mainly comes down to the problem that I don't think maps can easily be very T-sided. I just think it makes for weird Counter-Strike. T-sided maps force the CTs into making more risky plays, and that's not always as fun to watch as it seems. Where I think CT-sided maps just force the Ts to be strategically more clever and kind of figure out what's going on. It has its own challenges, but I prefer more CT-sided maps than T-sided. That's one of the things that I think is a bit of an issue on a map like Anubis, is that the T-side has a lot more room to play with, and the CT sides, every time they have to do anything to find information, they have to take massive risks. Now, there are risks on Overpass if you want more information, but it's a different kind of risk, and it's the kind of risk that I guess, in my opinion, makes the map a lot more dramatic. I think an easy way to try and explain what I'm talking about is the idea that really, as the map scales up, like the distances become bigger, it becomes sort of more dramatic in the sense that you also, that the whole tactical part of the game gets really exaggerated. So you can see what's coming a long time before it happens, because they have to run really far to change the plan, basically. I'll give you a bit of an example, right? So this is the A long position, and this would be sort of considered just the normal sort of A route. And if I'm observing, if I'm a viewer of the map and I see 3 people going out long, like 3 people on the T side going this way, 2 people running this way, I know what is going to happen, like especially if I look at the clock. But let's say in a scenario where there's 40 seconds left, they're not really going to go back to the B bomb site. It's very unlikely. Going back to B at this stage would mean going down through what we call the connector here, and then trying to run down all the way through, and B bomb site's on the other side of this wall. But that's hard to do. Like you can get shut down like many ways. So making really quick transitions from A to B is just not quite as doable. It also means when you do successfully sell a fake, it's so obvious because you can see that the CTs are really out of position, and in spite of what you might think, they can't get back to the A bomb site that quickly. If they're still up here on the sniper spot, they can, but obviously once they make the drop down here, it's a little bit of a different feel, right? And they actually have to run back quite far a ways to try and get anything done. So in that sense, the T strategies are exaggerated. You can really see when they're going to hit the A-bomb side. You can really see when they're going to hit B. But the CT rotations are also really exaggerated. Going back to that long position, if I'm spawning here and I'm running all the way down towards this long corner, I am so far away from the B bomb site here. If my team needs help back there, if they start calling it out saying, you know, we need somebody to rotate, I'm not going to get there before the fight's over, basically. Which in itself kind of is a tactical choice. Like, it's a risk that I'm taking by playing this position. There's a big reward for it, which means basically I can have so much information. If I see that no one is here, if I'm checking all of this out by the playground, the fountain, or by the balloons, like, if there's no T's here, God, I can calm a lot for my team. But the downside, obviously, is, in theory, if I turn the corner here and I say, okay, listen, there's nobody on this side of the map. If I'm almost done with that sentence and then, boom, Molotovs and HEs in the B bomb site, who cares about the information? It's almost too late, right? So the timing between these events, noticing when the CTs know the information, like if you're a viewer of the game, if you're watching a pro game, and you can see that, okay, the CTs, he's almost at the corner, now he's got the information, you start to notice that other people on the CT side are rotating back very often if you're playing that far out. There might be another player who's sort of playing with you here, so you've got like one on the one side, one on the other. This guy might start to try and rotate back. If you have connector control, he'll try and rotate this way. If you don't, then you might have to rotate back the longer way, just because it's less risky. And you're now battling for time, you know. Did you get the information quick enough to make the rotation back to the B bomb site, or was it essentially too late, even if you got the perfect information, but you just didn't get it in time? These kind of information plays that the CTs can make can also be turned into flanks that end up going all the way back in the T hallways here, which essentially go right back to T spawn. There's also a ladder down to connector, if anyone doesn't know. But yeah, T spawn being back here. So you see CTs that actually rotate this way to try and flank and attack to the B bomb site. But even then, it's very hard to get the timing down right. And I think watching that unfold, because this kind of a CT flank, you can watch that for 10-15 seconds before it really comes into effect. And nothing like that, in my opinion, really exists on Anubis. Typically, a flank on Anubis is a lot quicker, and the outcome of it is decided like very fast in the rounds. I think it's more dramatized, it's more drawn out, and I just like that. And I think like I said, it's easier for a new viewer to themselves identify what a strat is, whereas on a lot of other maps, take a map like Dust 2, where so much is happening in the middle, and by the time you sort of realize, oh, actually, it was a B-split, or it was a catwalk execute with a little bit of long, or a little bit of mid-presence, or whatever it is, like, by the time you sort of realize that, half the battle is over. Like, it's already at the point where people are fighting, whereas here, you see the whole setup, you see all the people moving into positions, and then things start to happen, and I really enjoy that. We also are playing in a game that has big sniper rifles with giant scopes on them, and there are a lot of maps where those just don't have that much fun because you don't have great distances, whereas on this map you've got really long distance, like this one, obviously up at the A long position. You can tell there are a lot of lineups here. Classically, this kind of a position down towards the restrooms, really, great positions for snipers to play in, and I really enjoy that. I've got a bias in favor of the AWP. It's the weapon that I used to play in 1.6, so in various teams, so I really just enjoy this aspect of it. And yeah, I think it makes the map unique and stand out in a way that maybe I just don't think Anubis did in the same way. I think we end up with a lot of close quarter maps. Anubis not the worst one, but map like Inferno, for instance, also where it's hard with the AWPs, and so I'm glad that we have this other extreme on the other side of it, and I think it's a welcome change for the map all on its own. Now, in some sense, Anubis is, or not Anubis, but Overpass is just the same Overpass that we've seen before, right? We've got a map back that we've already been witnessing once. So is it really worth talking about, or is it more interesting to, to have a brand new map, for instance? My argument would be that this is not the same Overpass that we're used to seeing. Not that the map has changed, but the game has changed so much that there are going to be very big differences in the future. It's because of the smokes and the HEs. Every B execute, almost ever, assuming you have enough smokes for it, will involve a smoke to this high ground position. A lot of clever ways to throw those smokes in the past. Now, in this current version, you can smoke the high ground, but if there's a CT up here with an HE, then what does it matter? Similarly for some of the early smokes thrown down here on the CT side. Now, it will be interesting to see how people deal with the fact that the smokes are going to be a lot thicker when they land inside of the tunnels, because that's just how the smokes work. So you might not be able to blow open the whole smoke in the way that you maybe want to. But I still think it could be a fun addition to the map. And there are probably 10 other positions that are normally smoked out, where people in in CS:GO, you would just rely on the fact that, of course, I'm going to smoke it, and that's it. We're going to execute. Very similar thing. Like, one of the most normal smokes on the map here are going to be back towards the bank and towards this A container here. And these positions are smoked off normally in Go. You're just waiting. That's what Go was. Like, people forget. People romanticize the game a lot, and I get it. I've spent a lot of my adult life in Go. It was cool, but the issue is, when you're just waiting behind these smokes, it kind of sucks. Whereas now, in theory, you can set it up. Imagine if someone trying to plant in some weird position, and you just have a chance to run right through with an HE at the right time. So I think the map is going to play very differently from what we're used to. So even if the architecture hasn't changed that much, I think how the map feels will change quite a bit. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So a welcome addition from my point of view. If you really wanted to remove a map that wasn't Anubis, I guess it's down to personal preference. I still think there is a bit of a challenge with how Inferno feels at the moment. I wonder if the money change for the CT nows will make that feel different too. Like, maybe the CTs will have a little bit more money to work with. Henry today was telling me that he thought that Mirage really was the map that needed to go, because it was kind of like a bit of a stale map in terms of the current meta. I totally see that point of view, and I've heard a lot of people over the years kind of complain about Mirage as a map and wish that it was going to be different. So maybe it is time for some subtle Mirage changes. I think that would be warranted, just to kind of freshen up the map a little bit. But regardless, I'm happy that we're seeing Overpass back. And I think if you guys haven't really seen it in high-level competitive play, I'm sure many of you have, but if you haven't seen it at the pro level yet, I think you're in for a wild ride. And I think you're going to enjoy the fact that a lot of the strategy and a lot of the drama of a round is going to unfold in a really exaggerated way. So it's a thumbs up for me getting Overpass back into the pool. I'm looking forward to your comments to see what you actually think about this, if I'm in the majority or in the minority on this one. But I'm looking forward to casting it, and hopefully we get some more tournaments that are running it soon. I think both Blast and ESL have already adopted it into the current stuff. So that's really exciting. That, along with the money change and the MP9 getting nerfed quite a bit. Yeah, I feel like it's a positive change for Valve. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how it all plays out. But I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, and I will see you soon.